Well, good morning. This is Pastor Brian Anderson. We are having our daily devotion. We're in the book of Exodus, and we come to chapter 20. That's that famous chapter where God gives the 10 commandments to Moses, and they are written down on stone. Well, what I want to do this morning is to focus with you on just two of those commandments, the second commandment and the fourth commandment. And the reason I want to focus on those two commandments is because they're given more space than all of the other commandments. There's something special. There's some prominence given to those two. So the second commandment says that we should not make, worship, or serve idols. He says in verse 5, gives us the reason there, "For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God." So the Lord exercises a holy jealousy over his people and will not permit them to go a-whoring after other gods. So that's the second commandment. The fourth commandment is also given special prominence in the 10. A lot of space is devoted to it. And that's the commandment to observe the Sabbath day and to keep it holy. The reason that this commandment is given so much prominence, I believe, is given for us in Exodus 31, verses 12 to 17. And there we read that the Sabbath was given as a sign between Israel and God of their covenant together, the old covenant. So if an Israelite were to profane the Sabbath day, it would be like a man taking up his wedding ring, which is the sign of his covenant with his wife, and throwing it on the ground and stomping out. That's why the man who picked up sticks on the Sabbath day was stoned, because he was profaning the covenant that he had entered into with his God. So let's just take a minute, stop and think about how we might apply the spirit of those truths to our lives today under the new covenant. First, let's think about the fourth commandment, the Sabbath commandment. We're no longer under the old covenant, which has become obsolete according to Hebrews chapter 8. And so therefore the Sabbath day, which is a sign of that old covenant, is also obsolete for the Christian. Now, I know the different people have different views on that. That's what I believe the Bible is teaching us. But even if that's true, what can we learn from this? I think it's simple. What we can learn from this is that we should never profane the sign of the covenant that we are under, which is the new covenant. And the sign of the new covenant, according to Jesus, is the Lord's Supper. So we must make sure we keep the Lord's Supper holy, that we observe it with all due seriousness, and that we reflect on the death of Jesus Christ until he comes. That we don't just go through this ritual without thinking, but we're actually remembering the death of Christ and how that has purged us of sin. The second commandment, that's the commandment against worshiping, serving, or creating idols. We can fulfill the spirit of that commandment by doing what Jesus told us to do. He said that we should love the Lord our God with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. And I know none of us do that perfectly, but when we realize that we are not doing that, we must stop, repent, and ask the Lord to redirect our hearts and our minds so that we can love him supremely over every other thing. So may God grant us the grace that we're going to need to be obedient to the Lord in these areas of our life. God bless you.